Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen around the world, wherever you are. Welcome to Magic the Gathering Arena, where today we are playing a fun little Rakdos mid-range deck built around quite a few synergies. All of the Rakdos decks right now are built around Ob Nixilis, the Adversary. And while this deck is going to use Ob Nixilis, because if you're playing Black-Red in Standard but you're not playing Ob Nixilis, why are you playing Black-Red? This deck has a lot of cool synergies that I think people don't realize you can do with Black-Red. So two of the best cards, right, in Black-Red right now are Ob Nixilis and Favorable Mirrorbreaker. And then you have this Meathook Massacre that does a really good job at gaining life, helping out with your sacrifice synergies, and just wiping away the opponent's board. Like, this standard is pretty fast-paced. In that you need to be able to answer what your opponent is doing on every turn of the game, and when you fall behind a little on that, it really hurts. And one of the few things that can catch you back up, both on life and on board, is this Meathook Massacre. So, what are you trying to do then, other than just playing these really good cards? You're playing these really good cards, and of course, with Favorable Mirrorbreaker, you're playing Blood Tithe Harvester for sure, because Blood Tithe Harvester. With Favorable Mirrorbreaker, Kiki-Jiki, by copying Blood Tithe Harvester over and over and over again, you can essentially make it so that you're removing a creature every turn, right? You're basically creating this combo where you can destroy a creature every single turn, potentially also while rummaging away dead cards. So once this discard draw engine gets going, your opponent's creatures keep dying every turn, and you keep finding the cards that you need. It's extremely frustrating. So this is sort of like, these are just like the generic good card shells. So now, what are we building around it? Well, we need some amount of support for Ob. Eye Twitch is very good in supporting Ob. Some people have switched to playing Unlucky Witness. When it dies, exile top 2 until your next turn. You may play those two. But the thing is, if you cannot really curve Unlucky Witness into Ob Nixilis. So let's take a look. Unlucky Witness. Yeah, Unlucky Witness, you can't really curve this into Ob, because you Unlucky Witness, you sacrifice it to Ob, and it dies, and you exile the top 2 cards of your library. But it's only until your next end step that you play one of those cards. So if on turn 3 you exile the top 2 cards of your library, then you don't get to play any of those cards. So now you're just down a creature. It's a very good card advantage if you're not trying to curve out into Ob, and if you're playing a more dedicated sacrifice shell that can control the sacrifice on a turn when you have the mana to cast the spells that you draw, or you'll be able to play a land. But that's not a 1-drop that can cast Nixilis. So I'm going with Eye Twitch instead. This also draws cards. In Best of 1, it gives you a lot of random card advantage. In Best of 3, you can cut down on a lot of these effectively like random ass lessons. Like, you can get rid of the Start from Scratch, Introduction to Prophecy, and Intro to Annihilation, or a Mascot Exhibition. You can just play like 4 lessons, and then you can just build a regular sideboard. But in Best of 1, you can have access to all of these. So this is the 1-drop sacrifice of choice, but it obviously, and also sometimes you might want to sacrifice by Blood Tithe Harvester to Ob Nixilis on turn 3, and that could be fine too. But you need a little bit more sacrifice stuff, and that's where Tenacious Underdog comes in. Underdog is the perfect sacrifice fodder for mid-range / control decks, because normally if your sacrifice fodder is not that good by itself, like they're not great standalone cards. They're cheap little cards with neat little effects. When you sacrifice them, it's like, alright, it doesn't feel bad to sacrifice this. I guess I got something out of it, like another creature, or maybe a card draw, maybe a land, maybe I got to ping one of their creatures. But all of those are not necessarily always relevant or super flexible. And this is just a 2-mana 3/2. That's a fine aggressive pressuring body on top of the Blood Tithe Harvester. But also, now it's a thing you can sacrifice that later draws you cards every single turn. And with Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, if you blitz in a Tenacious Underdog, and then you copy it with Kiki-Jiki, then both of the copies, then both the copy and the original, have the when this permanent dies, you draw a card text. So you can be paying 2 life and 4 mana, and 5 mana, I suppose, with the Kiki-Jiki mana, to to draw 2 cards every single turn, and that's the kind of, while attacking for 6 potentially, and that's the kind of card advantage that will quickly bury a game once you've barely stabilized. Like, decks that are looking to interact need to not run out of resources, so that once they've stabilized against the first wave of threats, they can keep finding answers and find out ways to close the game. Tenacious Thunderdog is absolutely excellent in that regard. So we're playing 2 of them. Moonveil Regent is one of the big reasons that we're not playing more of this Tenacious, because Moonveil Regent, it has a lot of text. People initially just remembered it as sort of like, oh, okay, it's this thing like if you're playing an aggressive red-based deck, then you can throw away your bad cards to potentially keep drawing more gas, or once you're hellbent and you have no more cards left to play, then every spell you draw draws you into more gas, kind of a little bit like the Great Henge is never-ending stream of cards. Like, this is obviously much weaker than Great Henge because it you know, is a creature that can die, and Great Henge just like sat there almost forever. But it's still a threat that lets you keep drawing into more threats. So this is a very grindy card, and that's sort of what people remember it for. Now, what people don't remember it for, generally speaking, is the dice text. When Moonveil Regent dies, it deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of powers and permanents you control. So normally in this deck, that'll mean you're dealing between 1 to 2 damage when this guy dies, because you have Bloodtithe Harvester, Eye Twitch, Tenacious Thunderdog, Meathook Massacre, Ob Nixilis, and Fable the Mirrorbreaker as your other, and Bloodthirsty Adversary as your other permanents. Of those, the multicolored ones are Bloodtithe Harvester and Ob Nixilis the Adversary. Okay, so why is this good with what the rest of the deck is trying to do? Why is this not just a card that's a random pop? Because with Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, you can keep sacrificing Moonveil Regents. Like, you can keep making more Moonveil Regents. So you're making 4/4 attackers, 4/4 flying attackers, which is good by itself. But then you're letting them die each turn, which means you can translate that into 2 damage to any target. So with a Meathook Massacre in play and a Fable of the Mirrorbreaker in play, which are cards that you, like, by the time this deck has established itself around the mid to late game, those are 2 permanents that you're almost always expecting to have in play. Moonveil Regent with Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, with Reflections of Kiki-Jiki, I suppose I should say, can deal up to 7 damage per activation of Kiki-Jiki, because you have Moonveil Regent dealing 4, 1 damage from Meathook Massacre, and then the 2 damage from the On Death Trigger. That will end games in a hurry. The fact that you have what is effectively a mid-range / control deck that can then have these turns where it's attacking you for 7 while drawing cards for casting spells is frankly absurd. And if you have if you have Moonveil Regent in play, and just you play an Ob Nixilis or you play a Bloodtithe Harvester, and you're drawing 2 cards, that's pretty incredible. So we have Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. So this is essentially like we are playing. Of course, another reason to play Eye Twitch is you can when you copy the Eye Twitches, then you do get to keep making lessons. So you get to keep learning. This is where Unlucky Witness would shine over the over Eye Twitch. When you are in the late game and you have Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, Unlucky Witness is consistently just exile top 2, play one of the top 2. Whereas Eye Twitch will less consistently draw you a card, because if you want to just draw a card, then you're learning, but otherwise you're just rummaging. But I think overall it's worth it to have the more flying presence, and also for you to be able to just find a mascot exhibition, like an extra threat that you don't have to put in your deck. That's pretty powerful. So Fable of the Mirrorbreaker goes great with Bloodtithe Harvester, goes great with Moonveil Regent, Tenacious Thunderdog, Eye Twitch, so that rounds out the creature package. And so now you have sufficient support for Fable, you have sufficient support for Ob Nixilis, because you have 10 creatures you can play. How do you support this deck? Well, as you can see, once you get to the late game, you're going to have all the card advantage your little heart could ever dream of, right? You have everything you need. You have card draw from Moonveil Regent, or Tenacious Underdog, or even Eye Twitch Mascot Exhibitions. You have recurring removal with Fable, Blood Tithe, Moonveil Regent. Meathook Massacre comes down and wipes away aggressive boards. So once you're in the mid to late game, you should be able to eke out enough advantage to win against other mid-range decks and against even control decks, because you've got a lot of permanents that are difficult to deal with or generate value. Like, let's say they use a spell to deal with their Moonveil Regent, they just kill it. If you've been able to cast a single spell after you put Moonveil Regent in play, then you will have gotten your card back. Similarly, if they kill your Tenacious Underdog, unless they're specifically exiling it with something like a Wandering Emperor or Vanishing Verse, decks that just rely on destroying creatures, Tenacious Underdog can keep coming back to draw cards. And of course, odd decks can keep making people discard and keep making devils, etc., etc. And Fable is by itself 2-for-1. So you have a lot of ways to just make sure you don't run out of resources. So what do you need to do? You need to survive. And that means removal. This deck is playing some amount of removal. It's supporting casters. It's 6 efficient 1-mana removal spells, 3 Strangles, 3 Bloodchief Thirsts. I could potentially see bringing these numbers up to 4s, or playing a 4-2 split of either, or playing slightly fewer of these for a couple more 2-drop removal spells like Infernal Grasp and what have you. But these are just so efficient at what they do. I think this is actually completely fine. And then Soul Transfer is one of the synergies that I was talking about that I think people forget about a lot of the time. Soul Transfer: exile target creature planeswalker. Return target creature planeswalker from graveyard to hand. Choose one or either. So it's like, okay, it's a removal spell, 3 mana, sorcery speed, not great. Wish it was an instant, but I mean, it's exile, right? And it exiles anything, creature or planeswalker. That's pretty good. I suppose I'll play it, especially because it can turn into a threat later on if I don't have to kill something. But then, this extra text. If you control an artifact and enchantment, you may cast both. You may choose both. That's card advantage. You kill one of their things and you buy back one of your guys, potentially an Ob. Obs get hit and killed all the time. So how are you turning on this artifact enchantment text? Fable does it by itself. Fable's 2/2 Goblin makes treasures. And then the enchantment sticks around, and then the creature is an enchantment creature once it transforms. So by itself, it's making artifacts and enchantments and letting you cast it off of Soul Transfer, which is quite something. So you can just go Fable of the Mirror Breaker, and then, let's say, Blood Tithe Harvester away one of their creatures. And Blood Tithe Harvester also makes artifacts. Meathook Massacre, also an enchantment. So you've got some extra support in both the artifact and the enchantment department. Besides, you don't always have to get max value from this. You're perfectly happy just playing this in the early game as a removal spell. And then later on, you can use it to get back something. Wait, later on, how do I know that I'll draw a second Soul Transfer later on? Well, you might not, but you have a Bloodthirsty Adversary. This is the last creature that we're putting in this deck that goes with Fable of the Mirror Breaker really well as well, because this isn't when it's cast. This is when it enters the battlefield and you pay this cost. So if you have a bunch of these removal spells in your graveyard, and you find a Bloodthirsty Adversary, you cast Bloodthirsty Adversary, you kick it, you Soul Transfer away their thing, get back a creature. That's very good by itself. Then you're effectively playing a better Goblin Dark Dweller Skullguns command. But then Fable of the Mirror Breaker, copy the Bloodthirsty Adversary, so you get back another spell the next turn, which can be, again, Bloodchief Thirst, Strangle, Soul Transfer. Like that, over and over and over again. If you're just drawing removal spells and you're just casting removal spells, then eventually Bloodthirsty Adversary with Fable of the Mirror Breaker can keep recasting those removal spells. So this deck it's not going to run out of removal because you're either going to keep drawing more removal, you're going to keep casting it from your graveyard, or you're just going to keep having these creatures that keep killing their guys. 6 very efficient spells, and then 1 removal spell that also buys back your threats. 25 lands to round it out. Some of our lands are also removal spells, Hardware Mauling and Shadow Skull Smashing. Unfortunately, Mauling cannot be targeted by Bloodthirsty Adversary because it is only mana value 3 or less. This is regrettably mana value 4, but that's okay. And other things we're doing, obviously you're playing the legendary channel lands from Kamigawa. It's just no reason not to. Play 1 copy of each. You could play more if you particularly like Takenuma. I do, but this deck doesn't really care about putting things in its graveyard terribly much. It's got like Tenacious Underdog, and that's about it. And I guess you could give yourself more options than a Bloodthirsty Adversary, but that's not really a reason to mill yourself, so it's like, this is fine. It's not anything to write home about. And then Hive of the Eye Tyrant and Den of the Bugbridge's Manlands. So your lands do things, and obviously Fable of the Mirrorbreaker can give you some stuff. And because you have so much sorcery speed removal, it's actually Hardware Mauling is really important to have in this deck because you really need some amount of instant speed killer creature. It can get quite upsetting otherwise. So then you have Hardware Mauling, some amount of Shadow Skull Smashing because first of all, you don't just want to go hard on Hardware Maulings because then you might upset the black-red balance of your mana base, but also Hardware Mauling is a tap land where Shadow Skull Smashing is not. Also, Shadow Skull Smashing can kill multiple creatures, which is quite relevant. We're not making massive amounts of mana. We might if our Fable Goblin goes unanswered, but we're not playing things like Goldspan Dragon or what have you. So this is not the best Shadow Skull Smashing list, so we're just playing copy. It's like, you can mess around with the mana base. This hand is pretty on the fence, but we have double Eye Twitch to stave off any aggression. If we can find a way to kill them, then we're going to get Environmental Sciences. If we need a red source, but no, looks like we're just going to get there. That's fine. Handful of removal against Ziatora's Proving Ground. Alright, Ziator, show me what you got. Tenacious Adversary into an Ob Nixilis. Who's a good little well, you know, so far we got there in the underdog. I don't love strangling this guy. I would much rather soul transfer him. However, honestly, it's so bad if I do this, and then I just leave this up for an Ob activation. Although, is Ob even that bad for us here? Like, we can just take our damage, and then Eye Twitches will probably just kill it in the air. So yeah, I think let's just get a Swamp, activate Soul Transfer, and then now Tenacious Underdog. We're gonna take 3, but then if he has an Ob Nix, we can just pelt it down with a Strangle and the pair of Eye Twitches. Opponent gets a Swamp, so he has double black, and he does have the Rockfall Veil. Yep. He's not going to Nyx. That makes me think he has Deadly Dispute, which might make this bad, but I have Bloodthirsty Adversary to get it back if it becomes a Zergo. Well, no. He just doesn't have anything. We also do need to draw a 4th land at some point. But so far we're alright, like we can cast the spells in our hands. Opponent is not going to be doing anything to our Eye Twitches. Alright, fine by me. Alright, I'm just going to keep picking away these 1/1s until I presumably get drowned out of the game by a Planeswalker of some sort. If I go Lolth here and make 2 Spooters, then I think I do have to strangle one of the Lolths. Not one of the Lolths, I have to strangle the Lolth. Okay. This is when it dies, right? Well, I wish we'd drawn just land here because we can exile this. This only does the thing when it dies. Makes a 4/4. Do I want to give him a 4/4 instead of this 5/3? I think I just have to accept that I'm getting 2 for 1 here. Downgraded his 5/3 into a 4/4. Basically played a 4/4 that made me discard a card, which is okay. It's not game breaking, but it's also unfortunate. But if we just drew you a land there, then I don't think I would have made that play. I would have waited till next turn to see if I draw another untapped land, because then we could have gone Bloodthirsty Adversary, recast Soul Transfer, and exile that properly. And he does in fact have the Lolth. Alright. We've had a fairly awkward draw with like being stuck on 3 lands for almost the entirety of the game, which is not ideal. Blood Chiefs away my Tenacious Underdog and then hit me for 4. It's not blocking eye twitches, you're gonna hit this for 4. Yeah, okay. Still no land. That's suboptimal. I think we'll have to strangle the Lolth and then combat attack with 1 eye twitch, because I can't really block these guys. The Menace, I'll just block the 4/4. Could have Blood Chiefed these guys, but meh. Seeker's Chariot, yep. It's just, we're just too far behind in mana now to accomplish anything. Like, if we'd been equal in lands, then maybe with Tenacious Underdog, Bloodthirsty Adversary, card draw off of eye twitches, we'd have been able to figure something out. But as it is, we're just getting junded out of the game. Yeah, no need to even give me a land. Unfortunate first game, but it's okay. These things do happen. At this stage, I don't think it matters terribly much. We could Blood Chiefs away the token, but we have no removal for the Asika's Chariot. Meathook Massacre would have been really good here. So I think what we're supposed to do now is make sure that he can't churn out 4/4s, right? That would really suck if he could just churn out 4/4s with the Chariot. So we're getting rid of that, and now Bloodthirsty Adversary, and I don't think Strangle does anything here. So we'll leave up both eye twitches. Yeah, leave behind both eye twitches. Hope to gang up on a 2/2 or gang up on a Seeker's Chariot with the Blood Tithe Harvester and the... Oh my gosh. Draw 3 cards. GG. Until the end of your next turn. Alright, until your next end step. Card is real nice. It's an edict that might draw 3. Like, this is the perfect edict. Edicts are notoriously bad, right? Against opponents that have... Yeah, I get it. I'm dead. Like, I'm literally just surviving right now on the hopes and dreams that I will draw a Meathook Massacre for 1. We do have triple Meathook in the deck, so it's not impossible, and we do get a look with this blood token. Crew 4. Okay, you're not going to play the second chariot. Why not? Is it you may cast? You may play, right? So he can play his land. Maybe he doesn't have a land in hand? Maybe, I don't know. Alright, if he doesn't have an instant speed removal spell here, this could be pretty good. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Pass to blockers. Here we are. Okay. I think I'm supposed to try and loot to draw. Okay, and I'm supposed to loot away Adversary or Soul Transfer? I think the Adversary? I mean, none of this matters unless I draw Meathook Massacre. Meathook Massacre was not drawn. So then, can we survive? I mean, exile the wolf and then take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even if I block there. So yeah, we're dead. Unfortunate, just behind on mana for too long, not able to deploy our resources. And it's like, right now, Standard is in a spot where, unless you are a deck dedicated to coming back from behind, like chock full of sweepers and what have you, you need to be able to keep up every single turn. You need to be able to match your opponent's plays, develop out the mana, and just consistently do that, because the moment you stop doing that on turn 3 or turn 4, then the 4 and 5 drops are just so impactful, and with Ob Nix, you have a 3 drop that's super impactful. We had a little bit of a slow start, and we got absolutely hardcore punished. But I mean, we still could have found our way out of that if we'd drawn a Meathook. Unfortunately, we did not. That is what it is, though. Alright, Eye Twitch, go. Still, Eye Twitchy became a lot more people's friends than I think people initially thought. I don't think there were many people who thought Eye Twitch was going to be as good as it ended up being. We don't have an instant sorcery, and let's just apply pressure off of the Adversary. Even if they rat the board, Eye Twitch is still going to draw us a card, so this is still card neutral. And then we'll have Fable for next turn. Sure, that's fine. Are you going to Ob Nix me now? That would make me sad. Okay. The most tenacious of underdogs has gone to the graveyard. We are not notably playing any Graveyard Trespassers in this deck. This is much more of a control deck, but I can't help but wonder if I should be playing Graveyard Trespassers. Like, Graveyard Trespassers without any discard seems a little ambitious. Okay, so discard up to 2 cards. Yes, we don't need a second Eye Twitch. We don't need this Meathook. Discard 2, draw 2. So now let's... I'm not gonna spend... Yeah, I'm not gonna spend this. If he wants to trade, it's fine by me. Alright, trading with half a Fable and Nervebreaker. He'll eventually get it back, but he will have to pay life if he does want to do that. And we'll pass the turn. Alright. Soul Transfer would be pretty good right about now. It would get back a Bloodthirsty Adversary. Legion Angel. Okay. Billions of Legion Angels incoming. Do we have to kill it now? I think we do. So let's Bloodchief's Thirst, Sorcery Speed. rid of this Legion Angel. And then, if opponent has a board wipe, we will be pretty sad. I mean, we wouldn't be down on cards because we draw a card off of our Twitch. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki is already dealt with a Tenacious Underdog. And so the only thing we'd be losing that we haven't gotten anything back for yet is this Blood Tithe Harvester. But if the opponent does not have a board wipe, then this setup is incredible because then we just get to Reflections of Kiki-Jiki. Okay, well, looks like that is what is happening. So let's Reflections. Instead of copying Harvester, which would deal more damage and give us an extra blood token, I think I want to copy Eye Twitch. What this signals to me is that he has the Wanderer, right? The Wandering Emperor. So I might honestly not even attack with the Blood Tithe Harvester. There. Okay. If he has Wandering Emperor, he's not willing to use it here. That's fine. Man, land, pass turn, and then this is going to die. And when it does, we can go ahead and get back. Yeah, he did have the Wandering Emperor. Nice. He's going to probably get rid of our Kiki-Jiki, is my guess. That's fine. And now we can go and find either a mascot exhibition or an environmental sciences. Intro to Prophecy. No, we'll just get a mascot exhibition. If we draw land next turn, then we can just... If he just minuses Wandering Emperor and passes, then that would be a pretty strong signal that he has another one in hand. So then we'd have to play around that. As it is, we're not losing anything by this. Because we can just attack down the Wandering Emperor. Sure, we'll hog Gramauling that down in response now, I think. And then next turn, what we can do now is, so the only card they could have here is something like March. Oh, okay, just Lumina Vespine. That's not even a March. Okay, so this is just solid Esper mid-range. Sure, we don't particularly care about that. We just drew a second Blood Tithe Harvester. What does that say? So that tells us we have to Blood Tithe away this, and then activate the Den. Go to combat, go to attacks, we'll hit Wandering Emperor here, and Den there, and this will give us a 1/1 that can finish off the Wandering Emperor. So Wandering Emperor came down to basically just deal with half a Kiki-Jiki, but what this really cost us is, what's really costing us in the card advantage department now are these Legion Angels. We've already spent a pair of removal spells on them. What else? So we spent Hogwarts Mauling, right? Yeah. How do you get rid of the first Legion Angel? Oh, we use Hogwarts Mauling for the second one. Okay. Sure. Turn. Another Eye Twitchy. Do we even play it? I wonder. So here, we do not have a point and click for the Legion Angel. I can wipe away the board for 4/2. He has no Legion Angels in hand, so this was all his Legion Angels. You know what? In that case, I will actually just wipe away the board. If he had any more Legion Angels left, I wouldn't do this, but he doesn't, so I'm pretty happy to do this here. And I think this time around, I might legitimately just get an Environmental Sciences to get me closer to my mascot exhibition. Sure. And then we still do have another Eye Twitch left over. He can Tenacious Underdog us down if he wants to, but it's very hefty life cost, because he's doing, okay, Kaito Shizuki, Tenacious Underdog, show. So a removal spell would be good to help us deal with Kaito, which we did draw. This is fine, so let's do the following. Let's Blood Tithe Harvester, find ourselves a red source. We already have all the black that we'll need, and then play out an Eye Twitch and pass the turn. And then now, depending on what our opponent does next turn, we could be very close to just killing them, because they don't have any source of life gain, which is very significant against this Meat Hook Massacre. If we draw, say, an Ob Nixilis, that could be really bad for them. If they play Tenacious Underdog and go down to 4, they will be up some cards, but oh my, that is bold, sir. Sure. No blocks here. I'll take my 4. And then these will both die. So Kaito Shizuki so far has been a 3-mana 1/1 the dual card, which is definitely decent. It's nothing we absolutely can't handle. He has to have a removal spell here, right? Otherwise he will just be dead. Draws another card, that's fine. My turn. I wonder. He's dead on board, as things currently stand. So let's get this Tenacious Underdog out of the way. This will also drain him for 1. He cannot have Wandering Emperor. Let's Sokenzen, because this makes it hardest for him to subs, because whichever one creature he kills isn't going to be good enough. Like, the worst card that punishes this line is March of Wretched Sorrow, because he would have some amount of life gain for that. Vanishing Verse is not going to be sufficient for that, I don't think. And now he's on 1, so he cannot blitz anything back. And now we'll finally play out this Hogwarts Brood Pit, in case we draw a spell that we want to cast with Den of the Bugbear. Pass. He's gonna have to hit me and try and draw a card for sure. But I mean, you could have drawn a card even without. Like, do you really want all 3 cards in your hand right now? The trouble with what my opponent is going through right now is he can't actually kill any of my creatures without dying on the spot. That's not going to be good enough. Alright, good game. Because of the Meat Hook. Yeah, and Den of the Bugbear can combine with the 2/1/1s. So if we didn't have the Meat Hook, I would not have been able to take such an aggressive line. But we've already dealt with a Wandering Emperor. And that sort of gave us the assurance that it would be quite unlikely for him to have anything left in the tank. So it was this March of Burgeoning Life, sure. Whatever. That ended up working out quite nicely. You match up really well against the other mid-range decks. I think the deck that is going to give this most trouble is Oni Cult Anvil, because Oni Cult Anvil, the rate at which it churns out 1/1s, it can flood the board in a hurry. It's quite annoying, actually. Alright. We have a 3-land hand, and we have a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and a removal spell. So this hand is like an even mix of everything we want. We have all our colors. Hand is great. Deck is nice and efficient. All is well. And the really, like, one of the biggest reasons that this deck performs so efficiently is, yeah, it's a control deck, like, slash mid-range deck. It's trying to play play grindy cards that gain card advantage, and it sort of has these engines that draw cards and kill creatures. But also, it can apply a significant amount of early pressure. Like, one of your removal spells comes with a 3/2 body and a rummage. So that's quite something. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, for two reasons. One, we did not draw... I don't think I can afford to just do nothing this turn, although it does not feel good to kill a Prosperous Innkeeper. We want to stop his life gain in case there's something like an Isika's Chariot here. Isika's Chariot would suck. This probably has it. Spars Headquarters into a Stormcarved Ghost. And black? What on earth? What on earth, my guy? Okay, well, that means we just threw away a Bloodchief's Thirst for no good reason. My opponent is on 5-color something. I'll tell you that much. Let's get a Sciences, just about. So we go down. So we take a 2-for-1 because we spent Bloodchiefs and that for it. That's whatever. So Shatterskull Smashing tapped, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. And then we can like rummage away the Sciences. The Celestus. Prosperous Innkeeper, Meathook Massacre Celestus. Okay. And away we go. I love Fable of the Mirror Breaker. This card is... like, it just does so much. It slots into so many decks, which is why you see it. Like, it's a 2-for-1. It makes a 2/2 that ramps you. It lets you rummage away cards you don't care about. It synergizes well with draw, discard. I see. He probably has another board wipe, given what he just did. I'm thinking maybe I should have more manlands in this deck. Alright. This is return up to one other, then each opponent discards a card. I mean, what are we discarding? Probably Meathook Massacre. That card seems particularly horrendous right about now, but I also don't mind throwing away this Bloodchief's Thirst. He's gonna go for my Blood Token. He really must have a board wipe then. Let's just get rid of the Bloodchief's Thirst. There was some consideration to playing out a Meathook Massacre for 2 to stop the life gain off of his Meathook, but then I don't think that was worth it. Okay, more Meathooks. Meathooks for days. Alright, we are going to need to draw something here. We do have an answer for the Kami Warps, there is that. Yeah, I think we should absolutely have more manlands in the deck. Oh no. Oh no. We're drawing Strangles. Dead removal is dead. Well, at least... oh my god. I mean, we can get rid of that guy. We don't have an answer for the Tybalt. Strangle doesn't do it. Binding and a Haunted Ridge. Okay, well, I'm about ready to throw in the towel here. I had no idea what my opponent was doing. I suspected Isika's Chariot. What I got instead of a Prosperous Innkeeper was Meathook Massacre Celestus. To Kami War. Got absolutely wrecked. That's okay. We'll try and see if we can't head back into games with slightly more normal opponents. Games like that, though, you can really punish people in sideboard. Like, this deck does a really good job of playing sideboarded games, because in sideboarded games you can like take out all of this dead little guy removal and instead bring in things that are more curated for what you'll be facing. So you can bring in things like Duresses, Go Blanks, etc., etc. Graveyard Trespassers, like apply pressure that is difficult for them to deal with 1v1 once you duress away their board wipes. Stormcarved Ghost. You're late. You're late, Mr. Twitch. We need to draw a land pretty badly. I mean, this hand functions really well. I mean, iTwitch is a pretty good way for us to get a little bit of value. But yeah, we'll see if we draw land there. This would have gone so much better, but it's okay. Expressive Iteration. He's gonna draw 2 cards. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Dead. Kill me. Kill me. Not dead because my deck is bad. Dead because I can't draw lands to save my life. It's alright though. If we can get this 2/2 online, then it'll be quite something. Because this really does help us with getting rid of... Also, if they're a control deck, then we definitely can and should get rid of this Meathook Massacre. Although Meathook does turn on Soul Transfer, and I have no expectation that Fable will survive particularly long. Alright, another draw 2. What did you draw? Nothing you can cast, huh? Do you have 8 cards in hand? Oh, pff, too much card advantage. What a problem to have. Alchemist Gambit, sure. So you're on Dargon nonsense. So let's get rid of this. Draw 2. Sure. What are we planning to do? We have nothing in the graveyard that we care about casting at the moment. And our first Bloodthirsty Adversary was Droid Disruption. So this is the last one of the bunch. I think that's fine. I think we just need to make sure that we're applying a lot of pressure. And one of the cool things, what you can do in this deck is you can copy Bloodthirsty Adversary off of the Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Once this is online, of course. Gold Span, sure. Alright, he shouldn't be able to combo kill us this turn. Okay. Zelda Saga, get this back. They probably are playing some number of Meathook Massacre. So let's, we have both a artifact and enchantment, so we get to kill their thing and get this back. And I really love how all of this just like comes together. The like Fable by itself activates Soul Transfer. If they don't have a counter spell here, this is so good. If they have something like a Fading Hope, just unexpected windfall. Sure. Just for free. Just draw 2, discard. Just discard, draw 2. Just loot 2 for... Why are you so good, Goldspan Dragon? Huh? Why are you so good? They should really not make it so that, like, they should really just, like, have made it so that it doesn't do anything when it becomes the target of a spell. We cannot kill them this turn. So we're going to hold this Bloodthirsty Adversary on the off chance that we need to cast Soul Transfer next turn. Though I think we will... Oh, we already played a land. If we hadn't played a land, I was going to play Shatter Soul Smash, but I clean forgot that we played a land. Man, this kind of treasure generation is so upsetting, because it's just... like, look, it's turn 5. Both players have 7 mana. If you're playing a deck that's not playing around treasure, you're just... It just feels like you're just automatically behind. Burn down the house. Sure. We do not have any discard spells. Not main decking any of that. I don't think there's any point in just trying to hit him for 3. Probably has removal. And there's the gold span. And he'll have enough for the Alchemist Gambit now, is my guess. Yup. Here comes the Gambit. That'll give him... Oh, just later. Oh my. He doesn't have the mana for Gambit though. That's something, at least. That is not an enchantment. No meat hooks were found this day. So let's... I mean, we have enough mana to blow up both of these, even through Jewelry Disruption, I think. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think we should do that. But we do have to play Sokenzan for that, otherwise Jewelry Disruption gets us. So let's Shatter Skull, play X equal to 6. Six here, and 6 here. That's it. And we have the 1 mana from the treasure to play around the Jewelry Disruption as well. Ah, did I get him? Did I get him, Chief? He's probably going to Windfall in response. Get more of his field loots. God, it's disgusting. Okay, so note to self. Have some amount of discard in this deck and add more mana. And potentially be main decking Graveyard Trespassers. Not a Spikefield Hazard. Oh yeah. It's just making mana so he can keep churning through the deck by Spikefield Hazarding his own gold span. What are you doing? Do you have a bigger plan, or are you just making mana? He's just look at this. Look at so stupid. Plus 5 cards in hand. Oh, come on! Show of confidence. What an incredible way to lose. The fact that he found a show of confidence off of just his gold span mana by double Spikefield Hazarding his own dragon, that's quite something. This deck is pure nonsense. Just feels like every deck is doing something that can be classified as pure nonsense. Past a certain point, like the only way to win, like you cannot win by trying to play fair Magic. There's something unfair that your deck has to be able to do. Oh. Mono white, bait play, mono white. We're not going to cast Haggle Mauling. We are relying pretty heavily on this Meathook Massacre. Luminarch Aspirant, absolutely. Nothing terribly shocking there. Red, Blood Tithe Harvester, and then hopefully they play another X1 that is not an Elite Spellbinder. And then we can absolutely crush him. If they go Adeline, we do have Soul Transfer. This guy go Apparition, get rid of the sure. Bad. Luminarch Aspirant probably puts a counter on himself. No, just on the 4/3, sure. This is not going great. We have 3 mana. Smashing only kills one thing. Still, I can't help but think that that might be worth it. Actually, let's... Soul Transfer away the Usher of the Fallen, because that is by far the biggest creature. And then Hopefully he plays a couple of... No! God, please, no! Gonna take the meat hook. Yeah. Yeah, this is not great. Oh wait, he messed up. Might give us a chance. Because now I can Shatter Skull for 2. He needed to distribute it so that he only had 1 X1. Giving me 2 X1s to hit might actually let me get back into this game. Like, yes, I'm falling down to 5 here, but then next turn I can actually Bloodthirsty Adversary with the Soul Transfer. Like, Bloodthirsty Adversary cast the Soul Transfer back in order to get rid of the Skyclave Apparition. And then, yeah, all of these big guys aren't going to do anything, actually. Okay, hang on. In it to win it suddenly. Because now, if we can pay, we'll Soul Transfer back the Skyclave Apparition, get us our 2/2, and now we have 2 blockers, not attacking, because if he has another Skyclave Apparition for this guy, because like I want him to have another Skyclave Apparition for this guy if he wants to get any attacks in, and even then I can trade away with the Usher. And then I can Meat Hook Massacre away his whole board if he does that. Portable Hull, sure. I'm not comfortable falling to 1. So we'll block there. Interesting. Yeah. I am not unhappy gaining life here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I can't do that, can I? Never mind. That's unfortunate. So then I have new plan. Meat Hook for 1, gain a life. Meat Hook for 1, gain a life. Apologies to everybody who was yelling, like, you can't Meat Hook, it's been spellbound. Because now, even if he has a Luminarch Aspirant, I don't die, or a Wandering Emperor, that still doesn't kill me. This is, at the moment, still okay. Okay. Pass to damage. I'm at 1. Alright, so now we can go Soul Transfer. Oh, unfortunately we have nothing to get back. Oh, that's not great. That's awkward. I thought, like, okay, we can go Soul Transfer, and that's like, no, you cannot do all of those things. So Moonveil Regent. If we just play out 2 blockers, then this does not work. Oh no! Is that Elite Spellbinder really going to be the death of us? This doesn't kill either, so we don't gain life. Oh no! Adeline was a very good follow-up. And the fact that we can't get back anything off of the Soul Transfer is just a little awkward. And we didn't draw any Strangles or Blood Chiefsters this game. Yeah, I think we are dead. Adeline making the 1/1s. Like, if that had been a non-Adeline creature, like, that doesn't continuously generate tokens, you're just a singleton threat, like Spellbinder, we would have survived even a second Spellbinder, I think. But that's not how it worked out, is it? Oh well, sometimes that does happen. You draw Strangles and Blood Chief's Thirst and don't draw lands against the Jund opponent, and then against the mono-white opponent you never draw any Blood Chief's Thirsts or Strangles. I would have liked to know what is in his hand. I wish this was something that Arena let you do, like let you review what cards the opponent had in hand, so that you could have like realized if you're playing correctly or incorrectly. It's alright. We do not have turn 1 land for Eye Twitch, however, that hopefully will not be a problem, because we can go in turn 3 Ob Nixilis, the adversary. Please, please God, please, let's have the thing. Kami, we have soul transfer for that guy. Why me? Dios mío, why? And now we're stuck on lands. I swear, it's not me being bad or the deck being bad most of the time. Like, there was one other play potentially that we could have made in the mono white game, where we potentially could have played out Moonveil Regent instead of Meathook Massacring for 1 that turn. I mean, okay. We'll get rid of the Moonveil Regent. Can try and get it back with the soul transfer eventually. Do draw land finally. Play the second black. Think I'm supposed to kill the Kami? So as to not take billions of damage. And then offer a trade that he's not going to take. He'd be up a card even if he did take it. It's so awkward to have mana issues. We're playing 25 lands, which given this deck's really low curve, I figured really would be enough, but I suppose I should pay attention to the people who say that the shuffler is rigged, and you should only be playing at least 26 lands if you're looking to draw cards, if you're looking to draw them with any degree of consistency. Well, come along then. Rune of Speed. Right, and then he can probably play this Rune of Sustenance out here. Okay, he doesn't care about Sustenance. He cares about Might. And we're taking a Bajillion. Ob Nixilis is really good. Not like this, though. Not like this. I mean, we're not blocking. And then I guess the best thing we can do is soul transfer the Kami, because that exiles it. We should survive, but it's not great that he gets back the first Kami. Alright, bring it on. Yukai Naturalist, sure. We also, it really sucks when you get mana stuck, but you have Meathook Massacre, because Meathook Massacre absolutely despises not having mana. It is so bad if you have Meathook Massacre in hand, but you don't have mana. Alright. So if we had drawn a land, we could have Bloodthirsty Adversary, Bloodchief's Thirst, killed Kami. As it stands, I think we're just dead. I mean, we could also soul transfer to exile the Kami. Yep, we're dubs. Dying to mana issues over and over and over and over again is getting to really frustrating, because it's sort of just... Like, I understand that it's part of Magic, and when I lose because of mana, I lose because of mana, but I'm trying to make a video out here that shows what this deck can do, and it doesn't feel like I really gotten to play Magic outside of that mono white game and then the game against Enchantress that we won. And in mono white, against mono white, we did just get pressured off because their cards lined up really perfectly well against ours. Not in general, but just for that specific bit. And there was definitely a decision point that we could have done differently, so I don't begrudge that loss. Like, that was just their deck barely eking out the percentage. That's what it's designed to do, so that's fine. Alright. Can we, like, is this deck capable of curving out eye twitch into Ob Nix? It is, praise the gods. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. This is so exciting. If he goes Old Growth Troll, though, I think we will have to soul transfer. That thing has trample. If he just plays a Kazandu Mammoth, I would be ecstatic. A non-trampling threat is what we're hoping to see. Now, what did I just tell you about non-trample? Does that change your mind about Ob Nixilis? No, I don't think it does, because what we can do is we can attack in with the Eye Twitch. Nixilis, this is a common, by the way. 3 mana, 3/3 Vigilance and Trample that makes mana. How is that common? That's insane to me. What we can do is we can grab this Necrotic Fumes off of the Eye Twitch, right? And now we'll make us a little devil, a wee little devil, and they're probably going to take 2 here. They cannot kill both Planeswalkers. Then again, maybe they can combat damage to a player, but they don't care about that. They're just going to hit both of the Obs down. Sure. When you got me, you got me. So now we do want to make sure to get rid of this Froghemoth. I would rather save the soul transfer for when we can get something back. So let's exile the Froghemoth and do this. If they go red and 7 now, we are going to be a little upset, but it's okay. Hopefully just put like a couple of 2-drops here and we can just Meat Hook away. Oh! It does cycle here. If they go land 1-drop, that's the dream. Oh, they're not going to go land. Because then we could Meat Hook everything away. As it is, I don't think we have a choice but to Meat Hook everything away. Anyways, because we can't give him more draws with Tolsky. If he has a Snakeskin Veil to protect Jewel Thief, that might be something, but it would still get rid of the Toski and it would still get rid of a card in his hand. Really? I would love that, thank you. What? Okay. Sure. I accept. Old Growth Troll, sure. Sure. Land? Not land. We haven't, this is a first soul transfer. We could get back an Ob Nixilis, but we'd be giving him a card. Is it better for us to draw a card than it is to give him a card? Okay. I think it is better for us to have an extra creature slash planeswalker. I don't care about him drawing 1 card here. This becomes a 5/3 still. Honestly, that might be worth just trading away for half the Fable and Eye Twitch. If he has nothing here, then this is a trade. Snakeskin Veil, sure. That is the worst case scenario, but now we can still Meat Hook away a bunch of stuff, so this is completely fine still. I think we're gonna get Mascot now, right? Yeah. Place a non-chariot threat. I said non-chariot threat. God! Karen. We'll get rid of just the Tenacious Underdog, I reckon. Yeah, we'll get rid of just the Tenacious Underdog. Now we'll have to wipe away the board for 4. Meathook Massacre is a critical pillar of everything this deck tries to do. Like, this permanence, like, cards just put out so many permanents with things like Esika's Chariot and Onicult Anvil and Ob Nixilis. It's just, if you're not wiping the board he can exile 4 cards. Purple Zone for each creature card, for each non-creature card exiled this way, so he can go ahead and grab... Yep, I can't do anything with those cards. So sad, because we literally just drew the thing for soul transfer. We have nothing to soul transfer for a bit anyway, so... Alright, opponent. Alright, fine. I accept. Blood Tithe Harvester, and now opponent is Hellbent. And we have the Reflections of Kiki-Jiki Blood Tithe Harvester removal combo. But more funly, you get to see the Moonveil Regent Reflections of Kiki-Jiki combo, which is quite something. Okay, opponent doesn't have anything. He is probably hoping to... So this is... to sacrifice this land. So let's play a Moonveil Regent, and then we can copy that across. This is tapped, right? Tapped, yes. We can dome him for 7 here. Oh... Are you sure that's a thing you wanted to do, friend? Oh, you have a fight spell! Okay. And the reason I was like, are you sure that's a thing you wanted to do? Because this makes it so that Blood Tithe Harvester could have gone. Okay, alright. I mean, I'm gonna go to combat. Gonna hit you. Now the question is, do I sacrifice away... Oh, sorry, I can't even sacrifice that way. What was I gonna say? It's okay. I think we can let him have a 2/2. So sacrifice this. This will deal 2 damage. We can go face with it. And it's extremely unlikely that we will lose this turn. So let's just hold the Shatter Skull Smashing, and let's just smash away anything and everything they play. Because, yeah, they're gonna get the Chariot Crew, and then they can make a 4/4, but this isn't going to be good enough because we have 8 flying damage. Like, unless but they weren't playing as though they had a fight spell that they were thinking about. I do think they have an Inscription of Abundance here. Abundance. The abundance? What the hell is an abundance? They do. Okay. And they're getting rid of the reflections. That's quite sensible. Now the question is, do we want to trade our Moonveil Regent for their Esika's Chariot? I think that's fine. The inscription made it so that they're not really a threat of dying in the air anymore. So we can nug them for 2. And now Shatter Skull will eventually be able to take over by killing all their stuff. But we can also just play this Mascot Exhibition and be happy that way. Okay, that's not awful. And they probably drew a land, and so they scoop it up. Alright, we finally got to play an interactive game of Magic in which both players cast their spells and had good cards, and they both disrupted each other's synergies. And it's like, okay, good. Hey, what do we get? What do we get? What do we get? A Glorious Sunrise. Mate, what am I supposed to do with a Glorious Sunrise? All right, see if we can't get one more game like that where we can really showcase what this deck is trying to do. It is currently tuned to fight creature-based aggressive strategies, but that's not to say that those are the only things we can. Oh, sorry, I don't think you saw I said earlier that we didn't get any other wins except the one against Enchantress, but I didn't realize I didn't actually record the Enchantress game I was talking about. So we won against billions of Ob Nixilis. No fodder, no third land, just billions of Ob. Have you ever strangled an angel? It's fun. Get out of town, angel. Lorehold Campus, huh? Righteous Valkyrie. Okay, this is pretty bad. Naked Ob Nix. We cannot cast it with casualty. So let's plus, minus. Let's minus. And then they have to spend a turn killing it. If they, they can. And then we can Ob Nix away this guy next turn to have the double Ob. The double Ob is really bad if they have a follow-up creature here. Not really bad, but it is punished if they have the second creature here. But if they don't have a second creature, then we're very happy. Oh. Cave of the Frost Dragon and the Luminarch Aspirant is what they draw, huh? In that case, might not even play Ob Nix. Might just play Moonveil Regent? No, Ob Nix is Ob Nix. You gotta get your Ob Nixies online. Gotta get your Ob Nixies online. Get 'em. He's gonna be able to kill one, he's not gonna be able to kill the other. And we have another one. It's lined right up, so this is completely fine. Presumably he's going to play a land and... Okay, he's going to pass up on the man land. Must have some really good stuff here. Also, life gain is pretty bad. Ob is pretty bad against life gain, because then they don't have to discard any cards. They just... What on earth just happened? Angel Fire Ignition Showdown of the Skulls is not something I have seen in a hot minute. Sure, kill both my Obs. You got me. What on earth was that? They're going to Angel Fire something again, which is suboptimal. Probably the Luminarch Aspirant. So let's... No, I don't want a Moonveil Regent before I meet up Massacre. And this is actually my last Ob. I'm running out of Obs. So if we just cast a Soul Transfer on their Valkyrie, then we would be really upset when we have this absolutely massive Luminarch Aspirant to face down. But we're probably not being able to meet it anyway because of their Showdown of the Skulls. So I think we don't have a choice but to transfer away the Valkyrie and then take a gazillion from Luminarch Aspirant. We do have a Bloodchief's Thirst, which can potentially help us deal with the Aspirant situation. Giada, sure. The fact that this is a 2/2 makes it so much better than if it was a 2. Oh, Skyhook doesn't do anything. You're probably putting this on the Giada, right? Okay. So now... What? Why? Why is that good game? Oh, I also have no idea why I didn't block with the devil if I was just planning to wipe the board. Oh, that was stupid, but it's okay. We also could have just done this for 1. I just remembered why I did what I did, because I was just gonna I was gonna do it for 2 and let the devil finish off the Giada, and then I was gonna cast Eye Twitch. That was my thought process. Ninja Flare Ignition gives haste, right? You just trample life on the scribble haste. But you're still gonna put it on that guy. You wouldn't rather put haste here? No, just rather hit me for 9. I mean, okay, I fully understand why you'd want to hit me for 9, for the record. Okay, well, that was an absolutely incredible draw. Goblin Dark Dwellers incoming. Soul Transfer. Get rid of the Aspirant. And we're not blocking the Youthful Valkyrie there, so we'll attack. We might die to land Angel Fire Ignition. Actually, we don't. I don't think we're gonna die there. Strangle. Sure. Gain. They'll lose a life here. No life gain. Just life loss. Okay. Now what? Eye Twitch. Moonveil Regent. Moonveil blanks their board completely. And then Ob Nixilis can finally calm down and breathe. Also, if you ever, like, Bloodthirsty Adversary, cast back a Soul Transfer with both modes active, it does not feel fair, let me tell you. Okay, looks like they're not very happy with what's going on over on their side of the world either. Well, we can't really cast. I'm not going to discard my hand at the moment because I have plans for these Ob Nixilis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a Necrotic Fumes. And what this allows me to do is now I can grab this devil here. Then plus Ob. And then now I will go ahead and get rid of that. And draw my cards. Yumming. Moonveil Regent's pretty gimming. I honestly cannot wait for Esika's Chariot to rotate out of Standard. There are so many cards in Kaldheim that are really fun, and I wish we could have seen more of them, but we were just never able to because of overpowered nonsense like Alrund's Epiphany in the beginning, and then Esika's Chariot eventually. So they'll have to find a removal spell for the Moonveil Regent. I mean, they kept, so they must be pretty happy. Luminarch Aspirant. I mean, my friend, that's not good enough. Like, we drew a Shadow Skull Smashing. Also, if opponent does not stop the Moonveil chain, sure, rip apart the Ob token, right? Yeah, we still have the OG. Make you discard. You can't, so 2, and then now we can sorcery 5. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and submit. And I'll loot away this Blood Chief's Thirsts because I do not particularly care about it. And now we'll finally get to attack. Yay! The opponent has an empty board. We have a Planeswalker, and a Hive of the Eye Tyrant, and a Moonveil Regent. Animated Massacre. Although these two kind of just like ping the opponent a little bit right now, but these are 2 threats that the opponent has to address. What could he draw in red-white that completely messes us up as we stand right now? Well, if he's playing something like Devastating Mastery, maybe, but even then I'd have a Hive of the Eye Tyrant, although he's pretty low at Shadow Skull Smashing. He did not have nearly enough mana to do everything there, so it's okay. And we'll Hive. We didn't draw a spell there, which is a little unfortunate, but it's okay. Start. exiling Giada. I don't know. I don't think it matters particularly much. Might matter if they're playing something like Reconstruct History, but this doesn't look like a great Reconstruct History deck to me. Maybe I should have gotten rid of the Showdown for that reason, but if they spend their turn reconstructing history and showing down, I can fill them up. Yeah, card's very good. Righteous Valkyrie has synergy with it for sure. But I don't think that's going to be necessarily good enough. It's a great grindy card, but it is really bad on defense when you just top deck it. So let's Showdown of the Skulls that away. And we'll cast Fable, and we'll draw a card. Moonveil Regent is very good. I don't think there's anything they can draw here. Like, even if they wrath away everything, he's wishing us a good game and conceding this time. He thought he had us. But, you know, we are among those disrespectful degenerates that play hard removal. What kind of maniac plays hard removal spells? Okay, finally got there, Chief. And having played it, having taken it through its spins, what did we learn? We learned that Strangle and Bloodchief Circe can be really awkward in matchups where they are not good, where you are not drawing, where you're not against a bunch of people playing creatures. Having this large amount of targeted removal will sometimes come back to bite you. But that said, I didn't actually think this was incorrect, because in games where we needed removal, they were all incredible. Soul Transfer was a little pricey, and I don't think I would fault anybody for wanting to go down to 2 of these instead of 3 of these, because the conditions to cast it with quote-unquote kicker are not always actually present. So a significant amount of the time you are just playing this as a 3-mana exile target creature planeswalker, which I don't mind doing. I like that effect, so I might still consider keeping it in. But like 2 of these are still definitely pretty good. When you do get to cast it with kicker, it just feels absolutely incredible. It feels like you're cheating. It feels so unfair. And the fact that you can have artifacts and enchantments that cannot be interacted with is also really good. Like Meathook Massacre and Blood Tithe Harvester's Blood Tokens, the fact they sit on the board and make artifacts and enchantments that people are generally not going to remove does make Soul Transfer really, really powerful in the late game. So I've been pretty happy with this card, but I could see going down to 2 of these. What the big change you really need to make is we need to add a pair of man-lands. So I suggested this in the intro, thought that might come up, and it did. So Kenzan was okay, but it was never like particularly great. Although I don't know why I would need basic, so I can just decrease the basic there. Den of the Bugbear and 2 Hives, and now like there are a lot of games where it's like, yeah, we sort of dealt with their stuff, but then they wiped our board, dealt with our stuff, and now I'm stuck with these like Bloodchief Thirst and Strangles. Well, they eventually draw into threats that are really hard to 1-for-1, and then my Bloodchief Thirst and Strangles look embarrassing. So one of the reasons I like Soul Transfer a lot is because it is just hard removal. It doesn't ask anything of you. You just point to them, and then they go away. That's very, very, very powerful. Getting to do that off a Bloodthirsty Adversary, like having something in the graveyard that you can then cast back with Bloodthirsty Adversary to be like, yeah, no, I'm gonna make that go away again while leaving creature in play. That has been very powerful. So even when you can't kick Soul Transfer, it did definitely do a lot of work. We never really got to play a Blitz game with Tenacious Underdog. We didn't really see this guy terribly often, but I'm sure he's still completely fine. He did not feel bad the few times that we did play him, even though we didn't get to Blitz him. If we were in a position where we can get to Blitz him, I definitely don't think we would have minded. So this is still definitely fine. iTwitch did everything that it was supposed to do. Really way to pressure people, ways to chump block without going down on cards, help us fix our mana, help fix our land problem. Oh, wait. Why are we... Did I not... So I added 2... Oh, I added 2 lands, but I cut 1 card. Sure. We can get rid of this tramway station, I suppose. Oh, this tramway station, by the way, I mean, this wasn't awful. It is a tap land that fixes and potentially draws cards, so I figured I could play 1 or 2 of these and get away with it. And it's like, well, I think that's fine. I think it's actually more important to have this Hive of the Eye Tyrant and this Den of the Bugbear. It's more important to have threats. And you're not generally going to have problems with color because you're only really ever needing double black and eventually maybe double red for Bloodthirsty Adversary. But you're single black and single red will let you cast the vast majority of your spells most of the time. So it's definitely not unheard of. It's definitely completely fine to just play it like more mana lands. Okay, so there we go. So now with all of these lands, that should help fix the mana problems. And wait, should it? No, I'm stupid, right? We just ended up going back down to 25 lands. No, come back. Tramway station, come back. Tramway. We need to cut a card from the main deck because that was dumb. So let's well, you can think about sort of what to cut here, but it's like Meathook Massacre was exceptional, and there were quite a few times when we were like, okay, Meathook Massacre helped, like this was the only way we could catch back up or sort of win the game. So potentially cut a Soul Transfer, maybe cut a Moonveil Regent, because while this card was really, really good, there were also times where it did just feel like a 4-mana flying 4/4, and while that's okay, there's nothing wrong with a 4-mana flying 4/4, you need creatures in standard right now need to do a lot in order to play at the 3 and 4 mana slot, at the 4 and 5 mana slots, because you are competing with like Esika's Chariot is probably the best creature at the 4-drop slot, which is dumb because it's not even a creature, but that is what you're competing with. And Moonveil Regent, while good, against mono green, it gets outmatched in power and toughness by everything they play turn 3 onwards. Against mono white, it gets Skyclave Apparition. Against Vanishing Verse on turn 4, it does not generate any value. Against a deck that doesn't really care about flyers, like decks that have a bunch of flyers of their own, or decks that have just ample amounts of removal to help deal with this Moonveil Regent, it's just a 4-mana 4/4, and when it dies, 2 damage is a lot less relevant than like 3 or 4 damage. So while this card is still good and drawing cards with it still does feel great, I don't think this is sort of a slam dunk. Turn 4, I played a Moonveil Regent, I've set up for the next turn, I now feel like I'm going to win the game. I think there is a deck that can take advantage of Moonveil Regent and do exactly all of that, but I don't think this is it. So if we're cutting something, I'd be pretty happy going down to 2 copies of Moonveil Regent here, I think. Or alternatively, just doing away with it altogether and just adjusting the deck a little so we have space for things, something like maybe a Graveyard Trespasser. But overall, the deck felt like a blast. It was really fun, and it was extremely efficient. It was pretty good at what it did. And I hope you try it out, and I hope you enjoy winning some games. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Peace.